Only change. Doors closing, doors opening, doors closing, doors I'm opening. I am safe. It's only change. I am safe. It's only change. Doors closing, doors opening, doors closing, doors I'm opening. I am safe. It's only change. I am safe. It's only change. Shambho Shankara, Om Namah Shivaya. 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 Shambho Shankara, Om Namah Shivaya.
Hey everybody, Happy New Year, first day of 2023. I don't know about you, but I'm a little hungover. I'm not hungover from drinking, I'm hungover from singing, because what you just saw was we sang in the new year.
It was so fun.
Yeah.
Got Bhakti hangover.
Bhakti hangover. So what was that, 3+ hours of chanting? And gosh, to be able to do that with professional musicians, it was quite something. So we're still reeling in that. It was quite late when we got home, but Happy New Year. We're doing this together. I'm David Ault.
Ram Lentine.
And our partnership in love and soul and all that kind of good stuff. But we're also establishing what we call Nandi Das. We always remind people of that. Nandi Das is, Nandi in Hindu mythology was the bull that was the transportation, the chief transportation for Shiva. And Shiva represents many, many aspects of the one, but it's the whole unified one. And to think of being the transportation for the one, it's kind of cool. So when we put our nonprofit thinking cap on, we thought, what would be a great name? And so Das means servant. So we're the servant to the one, we're the transportation to the one in whatever way that we can. And so this is us doing that. So welcome and Happy New Year. So happy that you can join us. And we just have some, are they words of wisdom?
I don't know. We'll see.
A little bit
It sounded good earlier.
They sound, he made me laugh because he goes, oh my God, it sounded so good in the shower this morning.
And I started to write notes.
Yeah. So you are being bombarded by advice, list of how to live your best life and all the things that you can do for the new year. And that's all great. And we thought, how could we condense this and give you a little bit of insight from our perspective, based upon actually what happened in 2022. So while he's in the shower and he's having his great ideas, my thought was simply this: the practice for 2023 is how to live as a soul rather than as a human. by human, I'm talking about the identity of who you are and all of the things that come with being human, the frailties of the body, the woundings of the past, the things that we carry around with us with regards to the systems of our belief. How can
Mind junk.
Yeah, mind junk. How can you, it's not about getting rid of that because that's a part of the journey, but how can you move that, maybe, or position that out of the driver's seat and practice 2023 as a soul? And what does that mean? So if I was living as a soul, what does that mean to you? What were your shower thoughts?
My deep shower thoughts that will translate hopefully somewhat.
We're gonna have
clear.
coffee too. Yeah.
So Ram Dass said that there are 5 qualities of the soul. So wisdom, joy, compassion, love, and peace. And so, at least for me, those are guideposts for
living as the soul.
Living as a soul. Well, so in this crazy world and all of my crazy mind junk, I may not feel like very peaceful. But like you said, if I let that the human stuff
identity
sort of sit back,
Yeah.
and I'm just watching all myself being not peaceful and not compassionate, that those qualities actually start to emerge more in my life. So because
there's a willingness there.
Right.
There's so much energy expended in wanting something to go away. If I'm distraught and I just want this to go away, we're unaware of just how much consumption of energy it is that we're feeding ourselves in wanting something to go away.
And actually, you're feeding it.
Yeah.
Because you're giving a bunch of energy to a thing that, if you can step back,
that is self-created.
Yeah.
And so to take this year and to practice living as the soul, from the soul, is to be more of the witness and less attached to all of the human identities. And again, I want to stress that those things don't go away. I think I'm guilty in the beginnings of my teaching career of using jargon, of using language about letting things go, and not taking responsibility that the interpretation of that is that somehow they are evaporated, because they're not. They never will be evaporated. As long as we're using these instruments to navigate this incarnation, all of the temptation and all of the experience, the ebb and the flow, the principle of rhythm, meaning, ooh, this is a good day because I remembered that I'm a soul. Ooh, this is not, doesn't feel so good because today I'm in my humanness. That's going to happen. But the beautiful part is when I can acknowledge, okay, that's the game that we're involved in. I cultivate such a rich place of compassion. I am living from my soul because I'm not trying to get rid of anything. I'm just delighting in the dance. This is our favorite word. The Hindu word for that is what?
Leela.
The Leela.
The Leela.
So Leela, but we always go Leela. Oh, today I'm in the Leela. So it's just the dance. It's the dance of my soul and my humanity together. And I'm not wishing that any of the rest of it would go away. Now, that is a beautiful kind of conceptual thing. To live that, particularly when the body is ill, particularly when the body is grieving, particularly when the body is scared, when the body looks at, let's say, our political landscape and just cringes at the ills and the inhumane actions of others, not so easy applicable. The Leela feels lopsided and it feels unsafe and unfun. It's like, I don't want to do this dance. I don't want to dance in this human consumption and dog eat dog type of energy. And yet that's a part of the Leela. And so what were some of the ways in which you were thinking in the shower that you were going to approach this new year more in the soul?
Yeah. Well, it is about observing myself and kind of getting some distance from the um, the actuality of it.
How do you get distance for you?
So it's about being in the now. And so when I'm looking at the world, the landscape, the political landscape, where the fear comes from is fears of the future, or if I'm thinking about the atrocities of the past. And so if I can kind of center myself in the now moment, like what's going on, feel the breath coming in and out of my nose, then I'm knowing just this moment, which it's not to deny the things that need to happen, but it centers myself in a different place where I can see what's happening from a clearer standpoint. But what I was thinking about in the shower was really, that sounds really good until you're really caught. And then often if let's say I act out because I'm caught, I'm going to hurt somebody's feelings or whatever, I need to forgive myself. I need to forgive myself. And actually, A Course in Miracles would say you need to forgive yourself for all of the thinking that the political landscape is not God. And so the more I can forgive myself for being the human that I am, then it allows me to rest more deeply in my compassionate state.
So I'm always invested in taking something like that and making it applicable. So you're a public servant. You work in the public sector for the government in public health, and you deal with people meaning Congress. You deal with people that you don't necessarily agree with, but your participation in that is funding for need, for public health need. And you've been doing this, my God, for decades now. How does someone that does what you do, how do you maintain any kind of stability in the soul with the onslaught of it's almost like when I hear you working, it's like you're swimming through tar every day. And I go, how do you do that? And have this stability within your spirituality, your soul. How do you regroup on a daily basis?
And it's a practice. And, I get caught in a moment, an hour, 4 hours, but when
dinner time.
Yeah, dinner time helps a lot. I'm not going to lie. So, but as often as I can, reminding myself that it is just a play. And and I'm in the game, and I'm going to fight, and I'm going to play my game as best as I can play it.
So you're playing. This is what I want you to hear. So oftentimes when we hear it's all illusion, it's a play, people get turned off by that. They shut down because it's too big a jump from 0 to 100. It's just a play. It's too big a jump from the bone crushing diagnosis to it's just a play.
Right.
And so I get that. We both understand that. We're both very much participants in the trap, because he'll tell me all of the political shenanigans and I'll get caught and I'll try to fix his thing. We're trying to fix each other's trapness, but hear us when we say that it either is all God or none of this then that we're pursuing is worth pursuing. That's the fuel in the engine. It's like, okay, I admit I'm caught, but my allegiance is to proving, understanding, uncovering that God is indeed all that there is. So when we hear us or anyone else espouse that, it's all relative to where we are in the moment that we're hearing it. So when you hear somebody speak Course in Miracles language, any kind of non-dualistic teaching, it can be a real turnoff to the degree that we're caught. So if I'm really sad and I'm really mourning and I'm really in physical pain, none of those things are going to aid me or support me in that moment unless I have a shred of willingness. Now, I think what makes for a great teacher and for a great offering, a wisdom offering, is to acknowledge all of that, which is what we're trying to do. Yeah. And so wherever we are is wherever we are, right? So my two lessons that are applicable to this that happened in 2022, one was I was on the Camino, and it was in the middle of the whole 1 month experience. I'm tired. It's hot. It's so unprecedentedly hot in Portugal, the hottest summer of the year. And that day is Mountain Day. I remember somebody nicknamed it Goat Mountain because the joke was that really only goats belonged on this mountain because that's how steep it was. And I'm like, all of my thoughts, my caughtness about my capability and my physicality and whatnot, it all comes rushing to the forefront because you cannot help but have a sense of dread about this. So I'm standing, it's pre-dawn, I'm standing at the base of Goat Mountain, and I'm thinking, oh my God, I want to be anywhere else but here. Now, think about what that kind of thought elicits within us. It's dread. What does dread do? How does dread transmute into energy? How does wishing to be away from something transmute in terms of physical energy? And everything within me was then tight. I was nauseous. I was like, why are you doing this? Blah, 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 blah. But in that moment, something shifted. I can't even say that it was anything that I did consciously, but in the moment, I just became aware of the word process. That this is a process, David, that no matter how much I'm invested in wishing it was over, it's not going to be over. That what is before me is what is before me. And what I do have control over is the step, the one step, which kind of, I guess the word would be all of the incremental elements of that journey. You have power about the one step. And so it became so granular to me. And I would take about 25 steps, and then I would have to stop and huff and puff and maybe take a pebble out of my sandal keels, not keels, Keens. But it didn't matter because now what I had done is I had broken it down into a sort of system. The thing was not the overarching goal. I want this to be over. It was the system that is before me is just 20 steps. I can do 20 steps. And what happens? I'm at the top of the mountain. However many hours it took, however much sweat it took, it happened, and I was there. And the kind of delicious thing about that journey up was I started to play a game of, well, let me think if there's anything that is void of process. Couldn't think of a thing. Not one thing that was void of my understanding of process. So a day is a process. We woke up this morning. It doesn't matter how much we wish the day was over with, the day's still going to happen. The seconds and the minutes and the hours are going to tick, and there's nothing that we can do to change that experience. What I have management over is, what do I want to do in this immediate now? So it was profound for me that there is nothing void of process. And I want you to think about this. How much of your specific processes, how's that for an early morning word? How much of all of the cumulative process that you were in do you want something to be over? Whether it's a job, you're just counting the days until you retire, that the days are still going to be there before you. So do you want to spend the mental energy in futurizing, or do you want to now, in this now moment, find a way to bring your soul into your work practice? Maybe your work has been void of your soul and you're just trudging along. If your process is an illness and all that you can focus on is, I will be happy when this illness is over or healed or cured, whatever your terminology is. Again, the idea is believe it or not, there's wisdom in what you're experiencing and what I'm experiencing. And so to be in the illness, if you will, in the moment, simply means to be willing to listen, to be in conversation with the vehicle of your body.
And do you see where that is in your mind?
Mm-hmm.
Is if you're in the moment in your body and you're not thinking, oh, I just can't wait for this to be over, as your consciousness starts to get drawn inward, like you're dealing with, I'm very sick right now, I don't want to be sick right now. But when your consciousness starts to examine, oh, the body is giving me a message, everything sort of starts to calm down.
Mm-hmm.
In my experience, like the tension of I want this to be over is actually making me have more pain in the present moment. And as I relax and just sort of listen to my body, the suffering part of the pain starts to ease.
I was speaking with a woman who's in chronic pain. She's living with chronic pain. And as we were conversing about her situation, I said, not only could I identify and understand with her, but we were talking about how much of the pain that is quote, quote, chronic is mental. Because in the experience of the pain, the mind has the capacity to add to the pain by cursing the pain. And it was kind of a breakthrough in our conversation, because she goes, that's an amazing way to think about it, because if I could ratio it, if I could put a percentage to it, she goes, I bet the percentage of my chronic pain is more mental than it actually is physical. Again, we're hypothesizing, but do you see that what we just talked about is a cornerstone, a chief building block for living this year more as a soul than as a human in this human body? Because the soul, and people struggle with this, but the soul knows that you've already won. The soul knows, we'll get really quantum and non-dual here and multidimensional, we've already done this. That's another podcast. Please stay tuned.
It's over.
But this is, we're living something that creation has already completed. And so what we're living through and as and in is a perfect divine design, as much as the humanness wants to scream otherwise. So the calming down that you said, it's true. It's like to go, wait a minute, I'm reacting as a human. How would I be in this moment as a soul? Well, the soul would remind me, you are held in grace. You have already won. This thing that appears to be an obstacle is actually a part of the way. That Zen phrase that says the obstacle is the path. You are on your path. You are exactly where you need to be. Everything and all the personalities and all the details, it's all part of the alignment of what your soul's design to expand, to grow, called forth. And those become more than just words and angering words. If you're really committed to the story, it becomes more than that. It becomes a living embodiment. It is the precursor to the relaxation. And yeah, it's a practice. And the second thing the second thing was we were blessed to go to India for the month of November. I got to take him to my schools in Bodh Gaya. He got to see all of the work
It's
there.
amazing. It's
And
amazing.
got to meet all the kids and the teachers, and we launched a hygiene wash program there. And then we went to more into the north of India to his guru's temple and had an amazing time in the Himalayas. And then we ended the trip and we went to Nepal. We went to Kathmandu, and friends took us to the Shiva temple, this magnificent, crowded, ornate Shiva temple that I was not allowed to go into.
It had a Nandi. It was a Nandi.
So
bull.
the Nandi bull, there was the big butt of the Nandi bull, solid gold looming through the entryway. You could see into the temple and it was like, oh my God, I want to go see that. I could not get in because I was white and quote, quote, non-Hindu in the eyes of the guards. And try as I might, I was halted and I was not allowed to go in. This one put your
my scarf.
You put your scarf over his head, and he's shorter than me, and he just kind of blended into the crowd, and off he went. And I'm standing, looking at him, and I am experiencing the most potent sense of FOMO, the fear of missing out. And I'm just like, I don't get to go into the Shiva temple. I love me some Shiva. I love Nandi. I'm a big Shiva guy. And so I'm standing there, and guess what? Just like at the base of the mountain, I got my lesson. I got this teaching because I'm standing and I'm observing the crowds pushing each other to get through the door frame of the temple. It's pushing, pushing, and pushing. And I thought, what's the motivation of their pushing? What's the motivation of their urgency? Of that need to just, it's because they are trying to get there. There is a belief that there, inside the temple, there exist. The there meaning the fulfillment of a journey, the fulfillment of something that is presently lacking. So they have to get there. There's a bit of competition. And desperation. There is armed guard control, because it's so special to get into there, right? And here I am. I don't get to go there. I have to stand and watch everybody go there. And then it was like, you remember, David, that famous quote, "There is no there." And I stopped and I paused and I just watched the energy of the line of these people. And I thought, there is the metaphor for being human. Not being soul, but being human. And it is I have to get there. That's the craving and the pull within the process. Is I don't like where I am in the process, so I want to be there. And I will do come hell or high water to get there. And in fact, I will craft a life. I will build a schedule. I will create goals. I will harness my finances to get there, even if the there is to get high, to escape reality.
Or to get a blessing because you legitimately...
Or to move, to somewhere else because you hate where you are. Or, I mean, the list is endless of the examples. And it was like, there is no there. So as I stared and I watched, it was as if the side walls to the left and to the right of the frame dissolved. And then the door frame dissolved, but the line, almost like ants moving, the line was still compact. And so the line to me was the finite And all of this without walls and without a door frame was the infinite, the infinite experience. And so that meant that whatever was presumed to be there was here. And it was so incredible. It was so incredible that in that moment, I thought, I don't need to be in there until this one came out.
Because I was there.
Because
there was there.
Because in your there, what happened?
So I was at there was a beautiful Hanuman. And so I got to sing the Hanuman Chalisa. And then the Pujari, the priest that was at the Hanuman, gave me these the mala beads, and I felt very special and there.
And so you put those on just to taunt me in my story.
There is there. No, but I think it's interesting though, because there is, there's nothing wrong with a goal, and there's nothing wrong with getting in line and doing your thing.
Exactly.
But where are you doing it from?
Exactly.
And
so to go back to what we originally talked about, it isn't then that you don't have a goal. It isn't that you don't plan. It isn't that you don't do all of those things, but it's what did you just say?
Yeah.
It's where you do it from.
Yeah. So you can be pushing your way through the door.
So that,
or you can just relax into this is where I am.
And so there's the culmination right there. There's the culmination. So the hybrid or the integration of my humanness is I'm still gonna go to temples. I'm still gonna plan. I'm still gonna work out. I'm still gonna watch what I eat. I'm still gonna try to save money. I'm still going to have to do your job. Oh my God. He's still gonna do his job. He's still gonna do all of these things, but now we're gonna do them. We're gonna engage with them from the perception or the lens of the soul, rather than the I have to do this or I don't want to do this heaviness of being human. That's kind of what we wanted to invite you to participate in and to think about for 2023. How are you going to do that? What steps do you need to do to begin in order to look at your relationship with process and how much you might be seduced with futurizing, and not to make any of that wrong, but to understand that you have already won. And this can be the year of greater self-compassion. What were the 5 things again you said?
Compassion, peace, love, joy, and wisdom.
We hear those words all the time. So let's break them down. What's the first one again?
Let's do wisdom.
Wisdom. What does wisdom then from the soul mean? Wisdom, well, human wisdom is, look at my intellect. Look at what I've memorized from a book. Soul wisdom would be what?
Spacious, kind of right in the moment, like the right thing emerging in the moment as it is.
You could look at something and see the one organism that it's all a part of. Wisdom would be then the ability to go, oh my God, look at me in my otherness.
Yes.
Look at me trying to make them the other when they're just me. Ernest Holmes said, all the world is a mirror, and it's just reflecting back to us everything that we are. And so wisdom is, soul wisdom is not just being able to recite that, but to catch ourselves in the moment when the otherness or the separateness is wanting to take charge.
There you go.
What's the other one? Joy from a human perspective, it always seems to be attached to a specific.
Getting something.
Like if I get this thing, I will be joyful. Soulful joy would be just
enough.
The isness of just being alive, like looking at a sky or watching a leaf fall. It is that mystical component of moving through the world.
And I would say that kind of joy also contains all of the everything. So it's not an emotional joy. It joy in its fullness also contains all, sorrow and pain too. So it's a full fullness.
That's the whole the paradox of everything, or the polarity. The polarity isn't opposite, it contains the all. I'm having joy right now. This coffee's really good.
Yeah, good. And so we could talk about
Compassion. I think compassion to me carries great potency from a soul perspective when it's self-directed.
Yes.
Wow. I think we're pretty good, actually. I think we're wired to be compassionate to other people. I really do, but not so much to ourselves. And I think it's because we get burdened by the being seduced in our humanness.
Yes.
And so we scorecard. We have the little tally about how much we've screwed up. And we actually, if we do that, then here's the funny thing. This is the way energy works, or the way the lawfulness of cause and effect works, is if I'm scorecarding against myself, I'm going to attract people who are going to scorecard me as well. If all the world is a mirror, then the more I hold myself in contempt, the outer world will hold me in contempt as well. And so it's not their responsibility, it's mine. That's compassion.
Very good. Love.
I love you.
I love you too.
Love is all of those things.
All of those things.
It's, the definition of human love is impotent, because it just cannot cover what it means to be enveloped in a love that knows no end. Wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
I can only feel that one.
Yeah.
And peace.
And peace. I want peace for you. I want peace to be more than something emblematic, and something more than just a talking point. I want it to be felt. And maybe this is a good way to spend, if you're watching this on the first of the year or whenever, to take a moment and to ask yourself, when was the last time you felt completely at peace? And then what was going on? When was the last time you felt completely at peace?
Well, I dip in and out of peace. So when I center,
When you dipped in, what?
I mean, just here. I mean, just
Yeah.
just thinking about love. Actually, just right then, it was almost like time stopped, and I just felt the love. And at that moment, there was no later, and there was no before. It was just I just was experiencing love, and at that point, I was at peace. It lasted about a tenth of a second.
I'm going to attach geography to one that just came up to me, but we were so blessed in India with just, I like to call them sweet surprises. So this man ends up taking us on this journey through the Himalayas that was unplanned. Those are the best kind. And there are many stories about saints and sages and cities sitting under trees, gaining enlightenment. And so you're familiar with the Bodhi tree, which we sat under when we were in Bodh. But he took us to a tree that was the resting place for Vivekananda. And it was the actual site. And there was a temple there and a small group of people who were chanting. But there's a little marker there, and it talks about Vivekananda having traveled all this way, and he stopped to rest under this particular tree, and he had an awareness. And the awareness was that it's all God, that there is no escaping the envelopment of that level of love consciousness or the divine creation. He had that awareness under this tree. This man took us to the tree, and we're sitting there. I don't even know if I told you this, but I was so aware of him, of Vivekananda, sitting there, because there was this breeze blowing, and I felt so much peace in that moment, thinking, what was available to all of the saints and the sages and the cities is available to us. And no, we don't have to travel to India to find that, but it's a nice reminder to realize that what was given to them and what was experienced by them is also given to us.
Great.
So we wish you an amazing 2023. This is fun.
Yeah, this has been great.
We did this last year. We did the flash paper, but we weren't prepared this year for that. So we just send you our love and blessings, and we hope that something that we talked about here today finds its way to you and has meaning. And always reach out. We love connecting to everybody.
And you're having a class, so, which would be a great time.
Yeah, if you're watching this in real time, yeah, I've got a class called New Canvas, New Possibilities, starting next week, and it's just 3 weeks in January, using the concept of collective intention. There's a book by Lynn McTaggart called The Power of Eight. So whether it's 8 per classroom, there's 6 different options. Some of them are full already, but if you want to put some of these into practice for the new year, go to davidault.com and look for that on my homepage and sign up.
I'm excited.
Great. We love you.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, everybody. Bless.